In this video, we're going to ask the question, what did the historical Jesus look like? Right? We know from the historical records that Jesus was a real human being. Again, any historian, you're going to ask them, they say, yeah, it looks like this guy really was a real human being. We're pretty sure about that. Okay, so what did he look like? Right? We have a lot of religious art that depicts Jesus in different ways. You just look at some of the depictions of Jesus laid out in some of these ancient and more modern depictions. Right? So, and we see every culture has come up with an image of Jesus that is close to or reflects what people typically look like in that culture. Right? And that's good. Right? Because the point in all the religious art about Jesus is that Jesus was one of us. Jesus was a human being. So your image of a human being, now today we have a very diverse image of human beings, but the important thing is that your artistic representations of Jesus wouldn't lead you to think that Jesus wasn't like you, but would help you understand that Jesus was like you and that Jesus was a full human being. Okay? That he became one of us. Okay? That he was a human person like you. Now, we also believe he is fully divine, but you also have the potential to become part of the divine. You are also can be adopted, right, into the family of God, as we say. All right? So again, we have all these different representations of Jesus expressed in people of different cultures and ethnicities from throughout the world. Here is a painting called The Head of Christ by Warner Sallman, done in the 1940s. And this is a pretty famous painting sometimes just called the Sallman Jesus. This is one that my grandmother had in her living room. Right? So as a young person, if that's a picture I saw of Jesus as a kid, I might think, oh, that's what Jesus looked like. Again, if that could be limiting in some ways, especially if I thought Jesus was, for lack of a better term, a white guy, right? Especially if I didn't identify myself as a white guy. I thought I might think that Jesus was a different kind of person than me. Right? Or if I only identify Jesus with white guys, right? That could be a problem, right? Some people have this issue today where they identify God solely as male, and they don't understand that God is the perfections of both the male and the female. The source, more technically, the source of the perfections of the male and the female. So now I was fortunate. I didn't really fall into this trap because I faced this challenge of thinking about God as a certain kind of person. Because I was also exposed to a lot of Eastern Orthodox iconography, particularly Coptic iconography, as I was raised in a Coptic parish. So you can see in the Eastern Orthodox art, the art is not made to look realistic. This is a traditional form of Christian art. It goes way back to the early centuries of Christianity. And these icons are produced in a way that they are not supposed to look realistic. They're not supposed to become anything like a graven image of God. They're supposed to help you understand that these pictures, which are even called a form of writing, they're almost like a graphic novel or something like that. So they're never realistic. And you can see the way Jesus' face here looks like a grown man, right? There's some other icons where Jesus he's actually bald, like balding. So he looks like a man, but he's little. And this has various symbols to it. It's supposed to show that he is like this very, very developed person, even as a youngster. It kind of reveals his divine nature in some ways. But you can see here the way that the animals are not realistic looking, the people are not realistic looking. And also, if you see enough of these icons, they're always in a very similar style. Again, if you study iconography or produce icons, There's step by steps that you're supposed to follow for each of the traditional icons. They're supposed to look a certain way. You get to a little bit of variations, but not much. And this is so people understand that these are symbols, right? So again, the symbolic nature of the iconography is helpful in that it would help us understand that the things that we're saying about Jesus, for example, in this icon, is that he became a human being, right? He was born, right, from a mother, just like we were. Now, if you actually want to know what Jesus looked like, he probably looked something like this guy, right? This is a forensic drawing by an artist named Richard Neve. So what forensic artists do is they actually take forensics. They take like skulls and other artifacts from people of the time. In this case, early first century Palestine on the eastern coast of the Mediterranean Sea, the place where Jesus would have been born and grew up in Galilee and nearby Palestine. That area there, what we call something like the Israel and Palestine today. He takes the remains and including the skulls that have been discovered from that time period, and uses them to formulate what a typical face of a first century Jew from Palestine or Galilee would look like. So if you want to get technical about what Jesus would actually look like, he would have been a Middle Eastern Jew. Okay, and he would have looked something like this guy. Now, again, it really doesn't matter for us theologically what ethnicity of person Jesus was. The important point is that Jesus was a human being, right? That he became one of us. So which type of us or which kind of us, it really doesn't matter.